Hi everyone! I wanted to take some time to go over the week 1 learning resources. I hope you were all able to watch my video explaining the syllabus and took some time to look through the course a bit. So here you will see our week 1 required readings. There is quite a bit of reading in the textbook for this week. You're going to be reading chapters 1 through 4. And this is going to be an overview of psychodynamic clinical theory, kind of a historical overview. So it's going to take you through the Freudian theory and stages of psychosexual development and ego psychology. And then it's also going to get a little bit into Erikson's stages of development as well, kind of doing a little bit of comparison between the two. This can give you a really good basis for the development of psychodynamic theory, as well as how it can remain relevant in current practice and work. Oftentimes we are moved towards the more, what we would say, evidence-based approaches that tend to be slightly less focused on looking at the individual's experience throughout their history, and these theories can still include quite a bit of relevancy into your work and really understanding the person in front of you. And then you will be reading this article, The Why We Need Therapy and Why It Works. This might get you into more of the neuroscience, some attachment theory kind of information in this article, just to see how thinking about somebody's attachment, early development, and their experiences with the external world can really change their internal view. There are 2 articles here that you're going to be choosing from. Whenever there's a choice of an article, I would highly recommend trying to choose a article that seems like something that you haven't quite learned about before or maybe want to know more about, rather than going towards the articles that you might have a bit of an understanding about already. These articles focus a little bit more about the social work profession and, just where we've come in terms of social work profession, some factors that we might want to think about within our work. And then here you have a choice of 4 different articles in this section. The Danzer article focuses on integrating some integrative work, kind of goes into how we have to gear our work towards the individual that's in front of us rather than sticking with one particular theory. Sometimes you might need to mix those. This particularly looks at ego psychology and strength-based work. The Goldstein chapter is helpful as well. Goes through 5 different questions that you might ask for an ego-oriented assessment of a client. So, that just is a little bit of an overview of some of the 4 articles there. Here, please look at the plagiarism information. You are going to be asked to take a quiz, a plagiarism refresher quiz, just, in terms of starting some of your writing for the course, just to have that information. One of our discussions this week is going to be focusing on boundaries within social work. This is a really helpful video. It talks a lot about how things have changed in terms of boundary setting throughout time, especially with the emergence of technology, and how that can make boundary setting even more important, but also more complicated. So hopefully you find, some useful information from that video. This video is pretty short, but then you also have a longer video at psychotherapy.net that's just focusing on the importance of the therapeutic relationship. It looks at how we may be moving towards some more manualized approaches, like I said, with some of those evidence-based practices that maybe are more present and future-oriented rather than past-oriented, slightly less relational. And, it just looks at how it's important to balance the two. The therapeutic relationship is extremely important. Use of self in sessions is extremely important as well, just to be able to really, truly get to the understanding of our clients, so that they can feel comfortable in opening up and it becomes a much more fluid process if you can establish a really solid relationship with your clients. There are some required segments of the video. You aren't required to watch the entire thing. There is a bit of a gap between minute 31 and 56 that you could potentially skip. I mean, if you have time to watch the whole video, it's useful information, but you could skip over that part if time is an issue. So what I have up here is your first discussion of the week. This discussion is going to include a written portion as well as a video. For your written portion, I want you to just think about all of the readings and the videos that you learned from this week, and just identify some things that maybe informed you about clinical work with clients. It could be new information, it could be the way that it was presented to you. I know many of you probably had some education on some of the things from the textbook already, but that information in terms of the Freudian theory and Erickson were presented in maybe different ways than you had learned about them before. So you could read about that, or any impactful things that you found from the articles or the videos as well. There's no real guide to this. I'm just looking for you to identify some things that you had learned and why that might be important for you within your work. And then the video section is just to get to know everybody. You're going to be communicating a lot with each other through this course and the discussions, and it's often helpful to see your classmates and learn about some of their experiences. So for the first part of the video, I just want you to introduce yourself and summarize your experience in the field. If you've had experience in the field, many of you probably have at this point, whether it be through work experience, volunteer work, field placement, and just describe your experiences thus far within social work. And then I also want you to set some goals that you would like to develop within your clinical social work career, and opportunities and challenges that you foresee in the future, and things that you might hope for, things that you might want to learn more about, just kind of the direction that you would like to go within the field. You are required to respond to at least one person, and like I said, in the syllabus review, it's often helpful to just identify something that you liked about their video or that you picked up on that might be helpful for you, and then maybe something that might help contribute to their learning. We have our second discussion for the week. Like I said before, there is a discussion on the maintaining self-care by setting boundaries with technology in our lives video. For your initial post, just describe your reaction to the video, what you learned about self-care and technology, and provide an example of a time that you were challenged with boundaries and needed to focus on your own self-care. You can identify what you did and maybe even how you might deal with it differently now after watching the video. I can say that there's a variety of issues that you might face with technology and boundaries. For instance, I had worked as an outpatient therapist for 11 years. There were a variety of times that this issue had come up, whether it be a client asking for a personal cell phone number. I've had clients that have tried to message me on Facebook despite my profile being private. I know many therapists who either choose not to have social media or maybe put their social media as a different name to avoid this. I find it valuable to have social media just so that I can keep in touch with some of my family members who live far away and be able to see their pictures and things like that. So I have found this to be something that is important for my own self-care and my connection. So what I tend to do if a client might message me on social media is I will just, put my work email on there or my work phone number, and that is all I respond with if they do need to contact me for whatever reason. Usually this has been a situation where I've changed jobs and they're trying to get back in for an appointment with me and don't know where I've been. Everybody kind of figures out what works best for you. I mean, it's definitely totally relevant to just respond in a way like, this is not an appropriate way to contact me, or just not respond to them at all. And maybe if you have their contact information, to call them once you do get into the office of wherever you are employed. So I just wanted to kind of give a personal example. Everybody might be a little bit different in how you handle it. There are some ethical boundaries that you have to be aware of course. But I know many different clinicians who manage the technology boundaries in a variety of different ways. And then, just as in the previous posts, you are going to respond to at least one of your classmates, what you learned from them, and what you might add to their learning. Just keep in mind that the initial posts for the week are all due by Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the follow-up responses are due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You do also have the plagiarism refresher quiz. I am setting the due date for that as Sunday. Just be sure to complete it. It'll be useful to just kind of have some refresh knowledge of that as you move through the course. If there are any questions, just let me know. Again, you can message me through Canvas is the best way to contact me, but I hope you all have a great week.